back, everyone, to That Time I Tuned Into a Podcast just to listen to someone shill for a publisher. I'm your host, Zeke Changers, along with the editor-in-chief of Honey's Anime, the man who thinks the I in IHOP stands for Isekai, Alfonso Ortiz. How you doing, Fonzie?
Isekai.
Kind of makes you want, yeah, kind of makes you wonder about the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
Well, after what is it, the Isekai restaurant show? I mean, the
Yes,
possibilities are endless, and it's a IHOP
ser-
Isekai House of Pancakes. Why not?
serving pancakes in another world.
Hey, I mean, that's good. The show's really good, to tell you the truth. I don't know if you've seen it. It's actually not that bad.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. It is really interesting. The conversations that the individual characters have. I do think like most food anime, they get a little over the top about the description of the food, but I do appreciate it.
Well, and it's not that far from Shokugeki no Soma.
No, no, except there's no competition because we all know why we're there.
Food Wars.
Ali-
Yep.
yeah, what is it's what's her name? Aletta. That's why we're all tuning in.
Oh,
Cute demon, cute demon girl. Cute demon girl in I want to say maid outfit,
kind
but
of.
it's not
It's
really a
not.
maid
It's like
outfit.
a traditional kind of like a
Very
diner's
traditional outfit.
restaurant or outfit or something like that, I believe.
Yes. Nothing you'd see at a Denny's, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. No, you'll see it in Japan, that's for sure. Especially if you've seen the show working. They display the
Okay.
same
Yeah.
uniform, and they're like in a semi like fancy diner type kind of style
A,
restaurant.
a, a family
Mm-hmm.
restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, because that's what I think. Though, hey, I'm a diner. I'm a diner
Uh-huh.
guy, so the greasier the spoon, the better.
Oh yeah. Okay, well then in that case, you won't find that in Japan. So so if you see a Denny's in Japan, people, learn from me. Don't go there expecting an American Denny's. It's completely different. Like it's very uh was it Japanized? Japanized? Or something?
Japan has made it their
Yes,
own.
they really did actually. They really did. It's good, but yeah, it's not large amount quantity, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
withhold the grease as much as possible.
Hey. All right. For those of you listening, a quick recap of what we're
Hmm.
doing. On that time I tuned into a podcast just to listen to someone shill for a publisher. I'll start off with a description of a manga or a light novel that I just read and give you my honest opinion. Then it's Fonzie's turn,
Hmm.
and then we'll share a second. I'll share a second title with you, something that we've been following for a while, or something that we think that has gone unnoticed that you really should take a look at.
Hmm.
So you ready there, Fonzie?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, okay. All right. I read this like a madman. I read every book they had out
Oh,
of this within a week. So it was like at the end of the book, Kindle's like, "Would you like to buy the next volume?" Yes, and
it just kept
I'd keep
going. It was
going.
like a
Yes,
rabbit hole of reading.
yes, a rabbit hole of reading. That's it. And it was great. The romantic comedy from Square Enix.
Nice.
It's a romantic comedy slice of life.
Hmm.
My dress up darling.
My
My
dress up
dress up
darling.
darling.
Wow, that sounds familiar. Like I may have seen
It
that around.
it is it is wonderful. It's I wouldn't quite qualify it as shoujo, but because its main character is a guy, but it has a lot of shoujo vibes to it.
Hmm.
Um, Wanaka Gojo is a first year high school student who dreams of becoming a Hinada craftsman like his grandfather.
Hinada.
Uh,
Okay.
yes, a Hinada, which are those uh, elaborately decorated uh, Japanese dolls that you sit on
I know which one
little
you're talking about,
pedestals
yeah.
in your house. Yeah, a Hina doll.
Wait, are
Um,
they the
they're
porcelain ones? Or is it
they're porcelain or fabric or silk.
okay.
I believe he does they're doing the porcelain ones. They didn't specifically say.
Okay, okay.
Um, Strangely enough, my mother has a collection of like
Yeah.
four, seven,
Yeah, yeah.
four of them that are
Get
like
those away
80
from me.
years old.
I don't want those
Yeah,
near me. Especially there's
she's
like what's that doll story? That really American horror story, t a tale of like a was it Abigail doll or something like that? And like
yes, Abigail.
yeah, no,
Yes.
get it away from me. Go. Burn 'em with fire. All of
Well,
them.
well, this
Tell your grandmother or your mother I'm sorry.
well, uh, he dreams of being a craftsman like his
Hmm.
grandfather, whom he lives with. Both mom and dad are gone. One day during his first semester, his sewing machine at home breaks, and so he decides to work on the clothing for these Hina dolls, which is his specialty,
Okay.
in the home ec lab. And that's when
The
uh
home ec club?
Gap
Okay.
lab, yeah. So that's when Marin Kitagawa,
Uh-huh.
a gal, uh sees him making the doll costumes, and he's mortified, and she's like, "Oh my God." I literally think they put OMG in there. Oh my God. And and she's like, "Okay, you can sew? This is amazing." And then she starts like taking her shirt off, and she's like, "Look at this."
What?
And it is the most out of shape costume you have ever seen. She is a cosplayer who has been trying to make her own costumes,
Okay.
and she's really, really, really bad at it.
Alright, she's not the
Um,
best seamstress in the world.
no, 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 no. But he is really good. So, though he's never made a costume on a human scale,
Hmm.
he's kind of driven by these strong emotions by Marin, who is like, she's one of those people who will get you on board with almost anything.
Alright.
She's happy. She's uh, encouraging. She's like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. You do amazing job." And their relationship is truly adorable. Um, it kind of they're at that point quickly at that point where they're not necessarily boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're basically dating all the time. Like they go out,
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
spend time together. He has to take her measurements, which he's like, I can do this. I'm a professional. And she has no embarrassment.
Oh,
Like, she's like, I'll take off my
right
shirt and
away.
you measure under. Yeah. She's like,
Such
do this.
confidence.
Yeah. She is the kind of girl, she has this amazing mixture of beauty, childlike enthusiasm, and for a manga character, amazing sex appeal. The artist is really, really good. Though this is still, I'd say, teen level stuff. So
Okay.
it's not like etchy or an eroji kind of thing. She's just has a lot of appeal to her.
Hmm.
He first starts helping her because he wants to challenge himself so he can craft more amazing looking Hina dolls.
Nice.
Yet, after finding success in his designs and the companionship with Marin, he wants to help her as much as anything else. We eventually get some other characters introduced, like this girl who's a really famous cosplayer with lots of followers, and her sister, who is a photographer. It doesn't kind of feel like a harem route, but because, really, you're we've seen them at the conventions. We've seen
Yeah.
the cosplay boyfriends. What do they're standing there with the bags. They're standing there just holding everything. They're the ones with the extra water, extra and towels and things like that, because one of the best parts about this is it does give you a really good glimpse. Like she goes to her first photo shoot and it's outside at this cosplay meetup. And then at one point she's like, we gotta go, we gotta go. And they go around the corner and she unzips the back of her dress and she's like, you've got to wipe me down because I am like sweating like a pig.
Oh boy.
And we've seen, hey, I remember being at one where we lost at least two Modikas in a Modica shoot. I mean, they just passed out because it was too damn hot.
That's funny.
So yeah,
All right. All
you
right.
you get a glimpse. So this guy actually is whoever the writer. This writer is really good at. summing up what that experience is like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Knows something about sewing. Maybe they've just researched it. But it really is driven by the personalities of the two characters. Even though he's kind of stereotypical. He's a big guy. He sews.
Mm-hmm.
He's generally kind of quiet, and that's some of which is because he's a teenage boy and he spends all his time making dolls.
Yeah.
But he doesn't necessarily make an excuse of that. He's like, this is what I want to
His
do.
passion.
The most
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I want to do. My grandfather does this, and they sell these dolls for hundreds of
I
dollars.
know
So
you can make bank on those. Oh
yeah,
man.
so
Okay.
and she's just got this amazing enthusiasm, and she's passionate about cosplay, and I think she said she has like 1,000 favorites. So she wants to do all these cosplay all these characters, and he quickly gets known as someone who can create really detailed, really amazing outfits. So I really enjoyed it. The relationship is great. The story moves at a good pace, doesn't get too bogged down in oh my God, I'm in a room with a
Uh-huh.
girl kind of stuff. It's she's in the room with him, and even though he feels awkward at times, she shows almost none of it, which is
Mm-hmm.
great because she's just uh, a free spirit. Let's put it that way. But
Free
you see this
spirit,
developing.
like Dharma and
You feel,
Greg.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Thank you,
Yep.
1994.
You learned a lot during those years.
Um, so yeah,
That's
I
nice.
really have enjoyed this. I caught up to the number of publications that they've got out really
Uh-huh.
quickly within a week, and so now I'm like sitting waiting for the next one to drop.
Nice.
Let me double check. My the author is
Uh-huh.
um, say something, Fonzie, because I cannot find my Kindle app to save my
Oh
life at the
man.
moment.
All right. Well, I was gonna say pretty much that this sounds really interesting. I like how they're using the story to promote, like follow your passion and your goals. And I
Yes.
mean, sure enough, you might even like run into someone else who inadvertently will help you with your passion or be a part of it, like have the same interest and all that stuff. So,
Kind of complement it in their case.
yes.
She's big into cosplay, he's big into
Yes,
sewing,
yeah. They go kind of
and they
hand in hand. So, and he gets something beneficial out of it and so does she. So,
yeah,
it's nice.
yeah. Our author is Shinichi Fukuda. Shinichi Fukuda is
Shinichi
the author
Fukuda.
of My Dress Up Darling. And like I said, I really had a fun time reading this book
Hell yeah.
and just blew through every page. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely it's a pickup. It's definitely a pickup. And I found out just today
Uh-huh.
anime dropping next season.
Very nice. I've noticed that a lot of manga titles that we've covered have been adapted into anime shortly after, or at least right when you start reading them and everything. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, X. So, what is the X factor there? Is it the publication of Honey's anime
Ooh,
lists that move the segment of the population that's like, yeah, if they like it, we have to make it.
right? We can
Yeah,
say
that's
that on a
it.
universal level because it could also just be the fact that we're so in tuned that we know like, oh, this title's great. I smell an anime adaptation coming along.
Yes,
But
of
this
course,
this
yes.
is gonna get picked up, and it's like that's why we're featuring it because we have a very strong feeling that that's gonna happen, and usually it's been happening. It's kind of nice. I like that a lot.
Kind of like it, kind of like in Wayne's World 2, where they tell them if you book them,
They will
they will
come,
come.
even if at the last minute, they'll 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 still show up. I mean, fashionably late. That's the good term for it. I guess.
So, I know you've been really busy
Yeah.
recently. You've had, I'd say, both irons in the fire, or candle burning at one end, or something like that. So what have you had time to read?
Well, I hardly had any time to read, to tell you the truth. But I did get two down. One I didn't finish because and I was just more kind of curious about it. It was called Cat in a Hot Girl Dorm, and it's from Seven Seas because they ended up sending us a huge catalog of titles to look at before the end of the year. So we were like handing them out to the
It,
manga
it,
team, and I was looking through the list, and so I was like, oh man, I'm kind of intrigued by a few of these, and
is this by Seven Seas or is it by their Ghost Ship publication?
good question. I think
Because
this one might be the
because
Ghost Ship
because that
publication.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Because with a title like that, it feels like it's in their mature catalog.
Yes. Yes, it is. So it is part of the Ghost Ship. You are correct about that. And hold on a second. Cat, get away. You're messing with my chi here. Okay, sorry. So yes, so it is by Ghost Ship, of their section on Seven Seas Entertainment. So it's basically just like there's this cat, and the owner, drops it off in a box in front of an apartment building that it just ended up being a girls' dormitory because the university is close by, and you get to actually hear the conscience of this cat. You hear him think and what he's going through, and how he's kind of like taking everything in and processing it. And so he ends up, basically just kind of like being like, oh, there are these girls, but I have another owner. Why would they want to adopt me? And it's like, oh, they want to adopt me. And so like the thing is, at the same time, it's like he's aware of what they're doing and understands what they're saying. So that's just like the whole narrative behind of what you're reading in this. And then it's just looking for uh, lots of ways, like at least the manga, the situations are looking for lots of ways of how you can adapt a cat being in the theme of like some girl that is apparently just taking a shower, and he sees the girl's nipples, and the next thing you know he's like, they look interesting, why do I want to lick them? And it's like, oh, all right, it's that kind of story. So
It's that kind of
yeah,
story.
so I
Okay.
so I didn't finish it. I went like halfway just because I was like, okay, now how far are they gonna take things? And so I just kind of went, and then yeah, they took it pretty far. And so I went halfway, and I was like, ah, all right, I think I think I get the gist of this one in particular. But I was just I love cats, and then
As long as you have separate e-readers,
yeah,
it's okay.
true. I mean. It's not I mean, I'm not afraid of getting caught or anything like that. It's just more the interest in the storyline. But
Yes, the articles, my man, the
the
articles.
articles, I read the magazine for the editorials. But it's a good one. But the one that I really liked, that I did choose and stuck with, is it's a wonderful rom-com. It's by Donten Kosaka. This is also from Seven Seas Entertainment, and the title is My Lovey-Dovey Wife is a Stone Cold Killer. And it's,
That sounds
yes,
spectacular.
beautiful title. It is a wonderful title for what this is. And so the main point of the manga, as far as what I'm realizing, because it doesn't say necessarily like volume one or anything like that. It just has the title. So, oh wait, no, never mind. It does say volume one. Okay, but for the whole volume, it's very like episodic. It has like short stories. It ends, and then it starts another situation. But it does seem to be in like chronological order of the present day and time. Like there is no real uh, mix up or just randomness as what they're doing. So it does kind of make sense as far as what they're explaining. So you have Setsuna-san. She is a wonderful girl. They don't necessarily say the age. You don't even know the other main character's name, which is interesting, and that's the husband. He's only introduced as Setsuna's husband most of the time. And
Hey, remember in Monster Musume, he's only referred to as
darling,
Darling Kun.
yep, that is very, very true. So
They only mention his name once. So, and the rest of the time, it's
yeah,
Darling Kun.
so in this case though, I mean, it is technically the same, but like there's no real address towards him. It's only done once when he introduces himself in a chat room to his in-laws as I am Setsuna's husband. Nice to meet you, and that's it. And like so that's the only title he gets. Like so in the credits, this guy is Setsuna's husband. That's it. Like it's funny. So just thinking that, and you're like, you really want to know what his name is, so you kind of keep reading. That's one factor of what sucked me into this. The second one is the fact that she is an assassin, a badass one
Okay.
too. I mean, stone cold killer. Come on. So she obviously is somewhat open about it because she says that you know they were on. Well, not she says, but the husband says, you know, they were out and about. She ended up like meeting him. They had some sort of like little just run in, and things happened one after another, and they ended up getting married. And so she obviously has feelings for him, but she's a stone cold killer. And like one of the main points that they make you become aware of is that she's emotionless, obviously, an assassin. You can't really show much emotion while you're killing or while you're
Ge-
stalking and stuff.
Generally, that definition of a sociopath. Yes.
Yeah, right? I mean, I would at least smile before I kill someone. It's like I don't
So
know. Depend.
I want to smile as I kill you kind of
Yeah,
guy. Okay.
it's like they paid
I,
me to kill you. I don't know what you did, and it's like shrug, sorry, and then boom, you know, something like that. If that's what your profession is, but she takes it really serious, so she's nice about that. But it's a really nice manga with all these little short stories of just her of getting to know her, Setsuna-san, and how keen and just professional she is at her job. It's to the point that like, they went to a batting cage and they're hitting baseball bats and so or hitting baseballs with the baseball bats and she was even questioning like what's a baseball bat? And I'm like, you're an assassin, you don't know what a baseball bat is? Like that should be an alternate weapon at some point if the occasion calls for it. But anywho, so
do you think about that a lot?
you know,
Maybe maybe you should lay back on the couch and start telling me a little bit more about the baseball bat there, Fonz.
there's so much
So
you can
what does
do.
the base
So much you can do. But anywho, like so he teaches her how to hit the ball because you know it's a batting cage, so the machine shoots the balls out towards you and everything. And so she's hitting every single one, and she's hitting them almost spot on until he realizes, oh, she's not really aiming towards the home run area. She's aiming at the pitcher, tossing the balls, the picture of it, like so the picture of the pitcher. And
Yes,
so
yes.
she's like hitting him in every like vital point on the body, which on the image is funny. It's so funny. And so
That's
you go through
great.
situations like that, and then they have like really lovey-dovey moments too, where she's just trying, like she cooks some food all the time. She really tries to be nice about it and everything, and
Good with
good,
knives.
very good with knives. In fact, she has a favorite knife that she keeps separate from all the other kitchen knives, and uses it like on special occasions to cook food, but obviously to kill someone too. So it's nice. And then
Gotta have your favorite.
yeah, you do. You gotta have your priorities, you know. And so
Yep.
it's really nice because they go shopping and like when they get to like the kitchen area, she's like zoned in, very very meticulous about what she's gonna be buying as far as a knife. She's like looking at the weight and the angles and how sharp it is and stuff like that. And the husband's over here just looking at her, kind of like I don't want to like piss her off or anything. It's gonna be really scary and stuff like that. And a neighbor runs up to them and like introduces themselves because they're new to the neighborhood and the building, and she ends up being some cougar girl kind of like her husband's always out of town and she just comes up and big boobs and is always like, hey, how are you doing, would you like to come over to my house, I have something for you. And she's like egging on the whole situation. And so when he's telling her this, because he's also very truthful, he doesn't hide any secrets. He tells her the Setsuna-san, and he's like, oh yeah, I met the neighbor. She's really nice. She gave us this extra food. She said she cooked for two and everything. And then like the first response is all like, do you want me to go take care of her? Is she bothering you? Like right away. And she has the knife ready and everything. So you're like, no, 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 no. That's not necessary. And so It's a lot of situations like that. They're really funny. And she comes from a family of assassins, and she's been trained since birth. So that's like her situation. And then she has a sister too, who's also trained to be an assassin. Hates the husband and wants to kill him at every moment because he took her sister away from her. And but she doesn't
Uh,
have the will to kill. So that's like one comedic issue.
so she's the black sheep of the family,
Yeah,
I
she
guess.
sure is. She's very passionate. She's determined, but she just doesn't follow through at all. But it's a wonderful read. The art is really good too. Setsuna-san is adorable. Uh, the husbands match pretty well with the character design and her and Setsuna and everything. So it's really nice, and it's entertaining. You keep reading. It's a lot of misunderstandings and situations that are going between themselves and people that they interact with. It's really funny. And I like the fact that the neighbor, the woman that her husband's always leaving town, is always kind of like there as a comedic, even more comedic relief, I guess you can say. And how it pisses off Setsuna a lot, and she just wants to secretly like assassinate her, and it's funny.
And put her and put her in a wood chipper,
Hmm.
I imagine.
Yeah, something like that. Like it's crazy. There was one point that mentions in the manga that when they're shopping, they're just like looking. She's looking at knives and she's kind of I don't know fantasizing about it. She's in La La Land about the knife and everything, and makes a comment saying like tuna and human have a lot in common. And like and you're like what? So
Hey,
I guess cutting of the flesh.
knives, plastic sheeting,
Mhm.
duct tape, rope.
Mhm.
Those are all things that are red flags at the hardware store.
Seriously, and then she has like she has like a confusing setup too with her weapons, I guess, and her items of death that she keeps around the house because she has a container that says death on it, but it's just like really spicy spice, like chili spice, and that was it. And she calls it death. And so when she was making food once, and he came in and saw the container, he was like, "Oh my God, what is she doing to me? What's happening? What did I say? What did I do?" And he's all freaking out. So it's a good read. I highly recommend it. It's lighthearted, it's loving, it's comedic, and the character
That
designs are
sounds
really good.
adorable.
Yeah, Setsuna herself is really adorable. There's even a point where she gets drunk and she kind of lets loose, and she puts like some like defense power move on her husband because she was drunk and is like, "Oh, this feels nostalgic. Every time I'm behind someone's back, it just makes me want to like kill him with one hit." And so she like demonstrates it to him, and he like starts bleeding out of his mouth and falls on the floor. It's so funny.
Sounds great.
It's great.
Uh,
It is great.
the, the humor in Assassins and Death. We just don't get enough of that nowadays.
Yeah, I know. It's
Uh,
it's that it's that I don't know, situation of a life being or existing in like the real world, but there's like very much a fine line between how the lives are. And this
yeah.
one just happens to take a very rom-com way, and I love it. I love the approach.
Oh, that sounds great.
Hmm.
Yeah, hey, to look at the last big pick I've got is we're gonna catch up a little bit with the Unital Ring 2, which is the SAO Sword Art Online
Oh,
Volume 23.
yes.
Um, this arc has been extremely interesting because think of it this
Hmm.
way: uh, all the characters have been uh, forcibly, what's the word? Forcibly not downloaded, forcibly transferred
Okay.
to another VMM
Oh,
VRMMO,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and all their stats get reset.
Okay.
So basically, like Kirito can't even lift his sword because his stats are reset, and he doesn't have the stats to equip it because
Okay.
it's too heavy. So they start off with like stone knives and uh like grass skirts
All
trying
right.
to re-equip.
Yeah, very, very,
Uh,
very survival and
yeah,
old school.
yeah, yeah. It's a survivalist kind of world, and the thing is, this is not just them that gets forcefully transported. It is most of the seed network. So Alfheim Online, a lot of the people from Gun Gale Online,
Mm,
all these other worlds that we've seen, the new Aincrad
mm-hmm,
crashes into this new world. And so a lot of it has been focused on one, finding each other, which is important because they all ended up in different
mm-hmm.
locations. And their log cabin crashes. They save their log cabin and it crashes into the world, but they need to fix it
Into.
because it's not a mortal object anymore. They
Mm,
need to protect their space. They have to. They're constantly under threat
mm-hmm,
by different raiding parties. There are bird people. There are rat people. There are people who specialize in PKing. And the biggest problem is if you die, it locks you out of the system.
ooh.
So not only did,
So it's not like you're
some company,
dying, but you're like
it,
permabanned.
you're permabanned, and think about it, you spent years building up a character and now all your stats are gone. I'd be freaking
You
pissed.
know, I
Uh,
I've seen stuff like this happen in real life, as a matter of fact. World of Warcraft
yeah,
days. Back in the
yeah,
days.
I'd be pissed if I
Mm-hmm.
spent time and money equipping a character over years and some company forcefully uh, converts my character into their own world.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, and other scary part, Yui, their little VR AR daughter, AI
Uh-huh.
daughter, is considered a player.
Oh.
Yeah, and so they're not sure what the hell to do because
Well,
if she for some reason dies, would she go like just be logged out of that system and back
and
into
since you bring that
her
up,
her
yeah, that's an interesting point. I wonder with the case of her. But
yeah, so they're worried about that.
yeah, and her being chosen kind of makes sense because like if Alice was there, she would have been chosen too. They're both like AI. And if they're
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
VR world, then the program is recognizing them as like a living conscious. So
yep.
there you go.
So, yeah, they got things like thirst points and stamina points,
Uh-huh.
so they have to constantly make sure they're drinking and eating and all this stuff. So
Oof.
it's a very hard world for them to live in. They have to build their skills from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
It's 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 a really interesting look at these characters in this
Yep.
that we've known.
That's a
We've
survival
always known
sim.
Kirito is like this OP
Mm-hmm.
guy, totally overpowered. Now he's back at base one. Sinan can only use a musket. Um, you know,
Wow.
it's yeah, it's really interesting. I've really enjoyed reading this, and we know that there's some sort of big bad. There's something caused this. You don't just accidentally like transfer all these characters and just basically destroy these other VR platforms and merge them into one without something hinky going on. And here's another reason
Okay.
that this ties in. Oh, sorry, this ties in to why I believe they're pushing the progressive novels and the progressive film because there are characters that are coming back
Oh.
into this series
Mm-hmm.
that you would have only known in the progressive novels.
Ooh.
So that's why there's a progressive movie. It's to help set the foundation so these characters don't appear just out of the blue,
Yeah. Yeah, they want to put context behind them, so.
putting context behind them. Exactly. So now when you're reading these arcs, you
Hmm.
understand where these characters came from, like Argo, the rat, Argo, who was an information broker
Yeah.
in
Uh-huh.
Eincrad. She is in this new arc. So
Nice. Oh, that's pretty
There's
cool.
a strategy behind all
Mm-hmm.
this between the movies, which they already said they're going to make another progressive movie.
Uh-huh.
So there's the new movies and this. So they're trying to make sure that narrative is woven. I mean, think about it. This uh, they've rewritten Sao. It was a web novel. Then it was a light novel.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wrote. Then it was a. Then he started writing the progressive novels, and you had the anime. And so it's been rewritten. Like we've been
Yeah.
reading it as they've been rewriting it. It's like watching a writer go through his rough drafts. And now
It kind of
it's
is.
they need to tie all this stuff together to make this latest arc
Yeah.
work. It's really
Yeah,
fascinating. So
I can imagine it being a lot like detective work. It's like you have all these scenarios and it's like, all right, well, pin it here. And it's like, where would it fit best? And okay, maybe pin this one here. And you have all these other
exactly.
ideas, and it's like, okay, let's put this to the side. We'll get to you later. And it's,
Oh, and if you log out,
mm-hmm,
like, most people have to do because most of these guys are school students,
mm-hmm.
are students. So they have to log out. But you're not safe when you log out. When you log out, your avatar stays there and someone can come along and whack you.
Yo, ha,
I know.
like
That
Avatar.
sucks. Yes, that sucks. So, um, that's a big problem.
Wow.
That and I learned that Liz is the same age as Asuna. So that means those two will graduate and Kirito will still be a high school student.
Ooh.
So,
Hey, well,
yeah.
I know. That's why Kirito is pretty lucky, the bastard.
Yes, yes. Though, okay, I've been doing a rewatch and like I said, we could probably have an entire show that just does SAO
Oh
analysis.
gosh.
But I've been doing a little bit of a rewatch and I'm realizing like in the first anime,
Uh-huh.
he does meet all these other girls, but it's really not harem-esque because you don't see them
Yeah. Oh, okay.
through the story. You don't see them with him through the
That's
story. The
true.
only character you see with him consistently is you see the only characters you see with Kirito consistently are Agile,
Mm-hmm.
Asuna, and Klein, which I'm pretty sure we are all starting to feel that Klein loves
Oh
Kirito.
yeah, it's more than bromance, you know?
Yes. There's a reason he hasn't gotten any girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a little
So,
too wild and out there, and then like his devotion, like he's really passionate, but then obviously that passion just happened to be
yeah.
Kirito.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's one of those things where yeah, you really don't see haremness until like after Alfheim Online, and you see him like with all the girls
Mm-hmm.
with
Because
him.
of damsel in distress and rescue after rescue, he's
Exactly.
befriending, and it just ends up being so much more to them than just the befriend situation. So,
Yeah, so it's been interesting seeing how this taking another look at the series.
mm-hmm.
It's been interesting seeing how what we think of it now, and then looking back to be like, well, maybe it wasn't as much of a harem story as some of us may think, even though, yes, the dude has the girls all over him. So, yes, and even a girl who presently is in the body of a robot is in love with him. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes,
it's
he's
interesting
o-
how that all
he's
kind of
OP
works
in
out.
so many
Yeah,
ways.
I know.
But yeah, that as far as reading this latest arc, I mean, if you have not kept up with the SAO series, I highly recommend doing it because the light novels are spectacular. They're filled with lots of information. You really get to see some of these characters that you haven't seen in the anime
Mm.
shine and have their own center stage, time at center stage. Biggest example I can think of is I was really worried in the last War of Underworld arc that Liz wasn't going to get that moment that she got in the novels.
Mm.
Thankfully, they gave it to her, but she gives a very impassioned speech. She's the one who convinces all the other players to port into
Yeah,
Underworld
to help.
to help save people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really big chapter in the book was her stepping out of her comfort zone and making this plea. So you really get a lot of depth of character reading these books, and I can't I can't emphasize enough that they just add so much more flavor
Hmm.
to the show. You read the novels and then you watch the show, and so you get this whole nother dimension that you're adding to each of these characters, and I really appreciate that.
That's good. Yeah, that is really good. I don't, as far as the novels, I'm not like reading so much into them, but the animes, I am trying to watch as much as the animations as possible. It is
Yeah.
probably one of the only series, believe it or not, out there that I do watch, like or have seen so far, all the OVAs and side
Oh
series
yeah.
and everything, like all of it. Just, it's good.
Hey, I want to see a crossover between the Gun Gale Online show,
Uh-huh.
and I want to see Silica and that chibi little girl, just two
Uh,
little midgets going out there whacking people with a
yeah, I
minigun.
know, right?
Uh,
There's some vicious
that would
characters.
just be, that would, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
So,
they're
all right,
vicious. They kind of remind me of that one OP girl from the was it the Gun Gale certain.
yeah,
It was a different one though. It was based off of that game within the series, Gun Gale Online,
okay,
GGO. But it was that girl with the pink outfit, and like she's kind of
yes,
rabbity. I
yes,
forget what the actual thing was called, what her series was called. But it was devoted
yeah,
to her, and she was a
yeah,
character that apparently was just created for that little part of the series, but
yeah.
actually
Hey,
exists in the novels now too.
yeah, like I said, if you took her and put Silica
Hmm.
together, you'd have these two really short, really heavily armed girls just blasting things away,
Dominating
and
people.
I think that would be funny as can be.
Hmm.
Okay, well, that's enough of the SAO report. Tune in Tuesdays at 9 Eastern and Central for more talk about SAO. Um, hey, it is ubiquitous. It is like one of the largest franchises
Hmm.
there is. So it does get a lot of time. So, anything else that you want to mention tonight?
No, not necessarily. To tell you the truth, things have been busy for me. End of year stuff. I've been around and about and all over because of the end of the year stuff. But other than that, I mean, I hope all of you guys have a wonderful holiday. If we don't meet up and do another podcast before then, but I mean, we might end up seeing you guys next year,
The holiday, yeah, the holiday is next week. Not next week, the week after
week
next.
after
So,
next. Yeah, it's around the corner.
yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
and then just FYI, be safe out there. We'll still be posting stuff on the website and everything, but we're gonna try and take some time off as we need it because 2021 was busy coming out of the pandemic in 2020. And yeah, like hopefully we're all getting back on track and yeah, just wish you all the best.
Yeah. All right. Well, for Fonzie and myself, we'd like to remind everyone that this podcast is can't be done without publishers like Viz Media, Yen Press,
Hmm.
Seven Seas, J
Absolutely.
Novel, Square Enix, Kodansha, and most of all, Honey's Anime, the place for the anime enthusiast. Until next time, for Fonzie and myself, we wish you a happy holiday, and thank you for listening. And keep reading.
Yes. Happy holidays and New Year.